everybody. So a few of you have probably been wondering how my carbon fiber steering wheel has been holding up, and I'm happy to report that it has held up fantastically. It's not had any issues whatsoever. It's now been in my truck for months. I've been driving it, it's been in the heat, it's been in the Florida sun, it's sucked up an entire Florida summer. As you can see, still glossy, smooth and nice. Leather I have not had time to redo. I'm still not super happy with the finish on it. This side's not too bad. This side is terrible in my opinion, but I'm gonna be replacing that. In the meantime, I've actually upholstered a couple of other steering wheels, so one of those may come into here in the interim while I repair the leather here. However, the carbon fiber itself, as you can see, it's just doing really well. I have absolutely no complaints. You can see it's ultra glossy, it's looking very nice. It really hasn't had any negative impact from the sun that I can tell. It's not yellowed. I did clear coat it, which is a very big thing. Like oftentimes you get a carbon fiber hood or some other part for your car and it's quickly turning yellow because the epoxy is directly exposed to the UV rays from the sun. I clear coated this entire thing, and before you put any carbon fiber part on the exterior of your car, I heavily recommend that you do a clear coat. It just protects it from the sun. Epoxy will yellow anytime it's exposed to the sun. As a matter of fact, people who have epoxy garage floors and leave their garage door open a lot will notice that it starts to yellow toward the front. So it's just a kind of unavoidable thing. There are additives that you can put in there to reduce how much yellowing you get, right? There are additives that go into the epoxy, and I'm sure those carbon fiber hoods and carbon fiber parts that you buy tend to have that in there, but it's still a wise idea to go ahead and clear coat on top of that, because over time those UV stabilizers or whatever they are, you know, stop doing their job, and then shortly thereafter your hood turns ugly like mine did. So this is just a great idea. It's held up, as you can see, very nice. I'm overall happy with it. Obviously the aesthetics to this thing are not 100% perfect. I would definitely like to make some changes for the next round when I create another one of these steering wheels, which I definitely still plan to do. I'm obviously just delayed. If you watch my other videos, you know that I'm on the journey to parenthood, and actually as of this date I can become a dad at any moment, because we're pretty much at that point in the you know, the whole pregnancy period. So we're full term, I can become a dad at any point, so these things are not necessarily as much priority as they used to be. I've been focusing a lot on, like, you know, doing baby prep. However, I'll definitely be doing a ton of this stuff on the side as always whenever I get some free time. So I'll be building another one of these. It might be thicker this time around. I want it to be like more padded grip. So there's definitely gonna be some differences in how I go about doing it. And of course I'm gonna fix this one up because I really hate this particular area here in the leather. It's not as nice and tight and perfect as this is. I've learned a lot of tricks in the interim with the other wheels that I've done. It's gonna help to give me a perfect finish here. You're probably also wondering about the electronics, right? Like the buttons here and the push start. So I managed to get the clock spring that I need from the Lexus IS. However, I've not yet installed it, and the reason is if you have a pre-1998 Toyota Tacoma, it's not necessarily a direct bolt-on. I think I'm going to need to get the stalks, right, like the wiper and turn signal stock as well, in order to make it all mate up, and then I'm going to have to run some wires. So as of right now, I've not done this. If you have a later Tacoma, it's my understanding that all the plugs will be pretty much straightforward. And you can make these work. I know for a fact because a friend of mine from the forums sent me a video of this very same IS steering wheel in his truck, and these being used to raise and lower his windows and open and close his mirrors actually. So I know for a fact it can be done on 98 and later first generation Tacomas. Can't speak to the second and third generation trucks, although maybe those guys probably aren't trying to switch to 90s Supra style steering wheel. However, it is a possibility, you know, that it may work on those if you care to try. However, I can definitely guarantee that any first gen Tacoma above 1998, you will be able to do it. I'm very happy to have been able to get this thing in here. Like I said, looks good. Unfortunately, the electronics are not working, but I will get around to that eventually. And I will be replacing these surrounds with the ones that I carbon fibered earlier. It's just, again, time is a big thing. However, do look forward to seeing those videos. I will definitely be posting them up as I go along, and I'm going to go ahead and also give you guys a look at the other steering wheels that I've wrapped in leather, just so you see what that looks like. I also took some time and reupholstered my old TRD shift knob. It was all worn down, stitching wasn't looking good, and the little logos had fallen off. I don't know where they went, but I actually took this apart, cut out new leather, fitted it, and stitched it on with some blue stitching. And I think when I redo the steering wheel leather, I'm going to go ahead and do it in a matching blue stitching, and probably wrap a few other interior parts and match the stitching there, just so that we can get a constant theme going. I eventually do want to build a center console, which is also going to be carbon fiber, and I'll probably upholster the sides of that and give it some of that blue stitching just to keep the theme going. I think it'll make the interior look very nice, and the blue kind of goes with the gray and black theme that I have going on in here. Here are the two steering wheels that I mentioned about leather upholstering earlier. These are both using the IS300/Altezza style airbag covers at this moment. I do have the standard, more Supra looking one as well for these. I kind of switch back and forth depending on what I want to do. These two are basically wrapped from scratch. I bought a big leather hide from eBay. There's a seller, I think it's called Discount Hides. They had automotive leather that I purchased, and then I literally fit this up to these two steering wheels, you know, bit by bit, getting it all aligned, and then stitched it all by hand. I used a method from a YouTuber called Catchaflow, not really sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. I believe he's out of Mexico. His videos are all completely silent. He doesn't really say anything. He just kind of shows you how he does stuff, and he is a master upholsterer. I've learned so much from him. I mean, if you guys want to learn how to do this kind of thing, please check out his channel, check out his videos. I mean, I can show you how I'm doing things, but like, the master is always greater than the apprentice, right? I'm just an apprentice at this. It's come out fantastic, as you can see. This is nice and taut the way that it's supposed to be, right? I learned techniques from him on how to do this, and the fitment, I mean, it's spot on. I can't complain about anything. I'm really happy with the way these two came out. I'm actually going to be placing these two up for sale. So if you guys are interested in these, you can feel free to comment and let me know. Otherwise, you will see them up for sale on eBay and my social media pages. I have like 10 of these steering wheels that I'm going to be redoing. The bulk of them will be leathered up like these, but I do plan to do some more carbon fiber ones. There was a factory carbon fiber Toyota 3-spoke that came in certain Supras, right? And it wasn't a flat bottom. It had carbon fiber here, and then carbon fiber here and here, with leather here in the center and leather on the sides. That was a very interesting wheel. It's fairly rare and expensive when you find one for sale. I personally want to go ahead and try my hand at doing a couple like that. I think it'll be a little simpler than having done the flat bottom, because I don't have to reshape the whole thing, right? I would just, you know, cut a couple sections, carbon fiber them, carbon fiber the top, and then leather wrap everything individually. It's going to be pretty interesting. One thing to keep in mind, if you want one of these wheels in your particular Toyota, is even though they all look the same and the splines are the same, they'll all attach between any Toyota you want. They may not all actually work, and the reason, right, beyond the airbag connections, which you can always figure out, or transplant your airbag into one of these, which is what I would recommend. It's dangerous no matter what you do. The steering wheel wasn't designed to work in your Toyota if your Toyota did not come with it. However, the airbag transplant is probably your safest bet, just because it's a bag that was actually intended to work and fire in your car with your car systems. Again, it's not been validated, it's not been tested. I take no responsibility for what happens to you if you put this in your car. You do that at your own risk. The only other thing that I really want to mention though is all of these wheels are actually slightly different in the back. So you see that some are like this and some are like this. And in the case of my Tacoma, you need one that is like that. And you're probably wondering, well, what difference does it make? The reason that you need this particular back is that this is what cancels your turn signal. In my particular truck, if you have a different clock spring, different setup, then these knobs would cancel your turn signal. So this will not work on my truck. This will only work on Toyotas that use this kind of backing. So, by the way, if you have a Supra, you need this as well. This, I think, is very specific to certain RAV4s and Corollas, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just a good thing to keep in mind if you're getting one of these wheels from somewhere. Make sure you see what the back looks like, and make sure that you know what the back of yours looks like, so that you can make sure that it matches and fits up perfectly the way it's supposed to, and can cancel your turn signal the way that you hope that it does when you turn it. So it would really suck to do one of these swaps. The reason to do one of these instead of doing, you know, an aftermarket, you know, like Nardi or whatever it is without any bag or anything, is that these look OEM. So if you're going to go for an OEM look, it should have OEM functionality. That's really the only advice that I would give you there, other than obviously you do this at your own risk and I take no responsibility. Be safe, people. Either way, these two, as I mentioned, are done. It has been a fun process. I did film part of it, and I may be editing that and putting up a video on how I did it. In any case, even if I don't get around to it with that footage, like I said, I've got 10 more steering wheels to go, so I'll definitely be doing more videos, and I'll make sure that I do one that's just focused around my leather work. But again, if you want to like really learn the techniques and get them down, I heavily recommend that you check out Such Flow channel. He will really break that down. Now, someone's probably gonna say, oh, there's a little line there. That's actually leather pen. You can remove that. You're supposed to be able to remove it by hand, but I've noticed that it works much better if you just wipe it down with acetone, which is what I'll be doing before I put this thing up for sale. So here's the old steering wheel that was inside my truck. This is not its airbag cover. Its proper airbag cover is currently in my truck with the carbon fiber wheel. This is a random one off another vehicle. However, I was on the Supra forums recently, and by talking to a few people on there, I realized that this is what they call like an S2 Supra steering wheel, right? So like 98 up Supras that came with the 3-spoke wheel are referred to as S2, maybe outside the United States, not so sure about here within the United States, but basically this steering wheel in good shape is apparently worth good money. Apparently in Australia it's 1,000 Australian, so somewhere around the neighborhood of 700 US. I didn't know that it had that much value. This was in my truck for years. I'm going to be retrimming this just because the leather that I use from these people, the fitment is terrible in my opinion, and the stitching came out horrible and uneven because, well, they don't have even gaps, and so you end up with ultra tight stitching in some areas and wider stitching in others. It basically drives me nuts to look at. I'm sure someone else will see this wheel and think, hey man, that looks perfect, what are you complaining about? Doesn't suit my OCD, I guess, but just not my thing. However, it's good to know that it is in fact a, you know, very valuable thing, because who knows, I might have sold it for 200 bucks, 300 bucks or something with this ugly leather on it, or if I took the time to reupholster it and do it properly. You know, these wheels sometimes go for like 480 bucks, but either way, apparently it's worth like 700 bucks. So it's good to know, you know, what the value of this actually is before I go and sell it and later find out the hard way. So you can see this particular wheel does not have a cruise control stock on it. It is completely bare, and it has the correct backing, right, to cancel the turn signal inside the Supra. So that is the current status of my steering wheel projects, my carbon fiber one and my leather ones. If you guys have enjoyed this video, if you want to see more videos on the how-to process, feel free to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're notified when I post up another video. I definitely have more of this stuff coming, so just keep an eye out for that. If you have any feedback or any comments on, you know, what I can do different and what I can improve, any, you know, suggestions that you have, feel free to leave that in the comment section. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching.